Welcome, dear artist. This is AJ. Can artistic eye be trained or are you born with it? Well, good news is definitely you can train your artistic eye and your vision can get much better, which will affect your artistic skills in the end in a very positive way. By the way, if you have never read this book, John Berger's The Ways of Seeing, I highly recommend it. It's all about how we see things through the years in art and how we can improve it for ourselves as well. First, I'm going to talk about perception, how we can change our perception and how it affects our artistic eye. And then I'm going to give you some exercises to do on your own. We can change our perception and also we can change our artistic vision because of neuroplasticity in your brain. The more your brain learns, the more flexible it gets and it actually grows. Some little rooms in your brain kind of grows and it reshapes itself, so it's amazing. If you were born with no artistic eye or whatsoever, good news is that you can change that. It's mind-blowing that the same thing can be perceived differently by two different people. For example, one person can say this mug is very small and the other one can say no, I think it's pretty big. Or the other person can say it's ugly and the other person can say no, I think it's pretty. So that's the difference in perception. And why perception is important? Because it affects our vision. When you see a dot here, you see that it looks red, right? It looks pretty red actually. But when you change the background, you will see that it doesn't look that red anymore, right? It looks more like grayish color. But actually, it's the same dot. It's the same red circle. But our perception changed because of the background change. Another background change example. Do you remember this infamous dress? Well, I see it golden and white color, and some others see it black and dark blue. How come it can be seen in two different ways? This shows that perception changes from person to person, and even our perception can change in a minute. Here, what happens is that our brain picks a background. If it picks the lighter background, then you see blue and black. But if you pick a darker background, your brain sees golden, yellow, and white. But honestly, it's the same thing. It's just the background your brain picks tricks you. So this is the brain's need to make connection with surroundings, right? So because it makes the connection with the background and suddenly your perception changes. When I give my studio's definition as a small studio, it's not going to be enough. But if I say that my studio is smaller than most of the standard studios, but it's still bigger than a living room, then this is going to be a perfect way of describing it. Then you can start seeing it in your mind. So if we are aware of this perception change, then we can be aware of how to see things with an artistic eye as well. For example, when I look at my curtains, I see different shades of gray and there's white. But it's not just white and gray, right? Is there more blue in that white? Is there more yellow or red? How about the gray? How many shades of gray do I see? And in what light am I seeing them? This would cause me maybe use at least 6 or 7 colored pencils if I wanted to draw this right now, instead of just white and gray. Another thing I want to talk about is the proportions. So if we look at the proportions of things in relation to each other, then we will have a better artistic eye. For example, when you look at my face, you see that where my ears end right here, when you draw a straight line there, you can see that it's coinciding with the lower boundary of my eyes. Or if I draw a straight line from where my eyes kind of start, then you will see that that's the boundary of my nostrils, of my nose. These kind of relations that we can draw in our minds will help us a lot to visualize things more easily. For example, the distance of my forehead could be the same as where my nose is and also my mouth and chin is. It's like 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. Now, another example is here. Come here. Oh. We have this little man here, and then we have this ball, and I want to draw this. In order for me to understand the relationship between these two, I realized a smaller object and try to understand the size of the bigger object by just looking at this. How many balls are there? It's a little bit more than 5. I would say, like, if I divide this into 4, it will be like 1/4. So it's like 5 and a 1/4 of a ball. This reminds me of an interesting example that I heard from a crime documentary. In that documentary, in that episode, it was talking about a woman who was kidnapped. She wanted to go to the bathroom, and the kidnapper came with her. She's so smart. She counted all the tiles behind him till the top of his head, so that once she gets out, she can tell the police the exact height of the man from just the length of those tiles. That's amazing. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. If you work with proportions, you don't need to worry about the size of your paper or your pad anymore, because it is relative, right? In order to train your eye on this, when you're, let's say, driving or when you're walking around, look at the objects in a different way. For example, if you see a tree, think about how tall is this tree? Is it double size of the apartment next door, or is it like 5 times bigger than this man just passing by the tree with his dog? If you see things in relationship with each other, then your eye will be trained much more. Because this way, you will see that even though your initial draft is completely gone while you're painting in oil or acrylic, you will be able to draw without any problems because you know things in relation to each other. Try to see things in shapes, right? So for example, these are rectangles, my face is oval, this is like half circle here. If you try to see things in shapes, your drawing and your vision will get much better. For example, drawing a sweater pattern can be very overwhelming for you in the beginning. You're like, oh my God, there's so many things to draw here. But if you focus on the little shapes on there, you will see that little by little, by just focusing on one area, you will be able to draw the whole thing in the end. I have one proof for you that you can train your brain to see things the way you want it to see. You know, Homo sapiens were cavemen once. And in the caves, what they're doing is hunting and gathering. While hunting, they need to see faces because among the bushes and among the forest, they need to see the faces of their hunt. And also, they're in danger. They can be hunted by, the bigger animals, the wilder animals, such as tigers. They need to see faces of those. And also the gatherers, while collecting all these food or the fruits and whatever, they need to watch out for enemies as well. So our brain is trained in a way to survive. So we keep seeing faces everywhere, including the moon, electric outlets, in the clouds or stars, in, wherever you can think of. We trained our brain that way without even realizing it. And now you can train your brain so that you can have a better artistic eye. Let's talk about some exercises. How can you see color, for example? Let's say you have a reference photo, and in that reference photo on the face, pick a color. Just like maybe the biggest section of the face, what color it is. Just focus on that color and squint your eyes slowly. Then you will see that similar colors to that will pop out everywhere around it suddenly. So it takes a while to see them, but keep doing it and you will see that the more different colors you pick, when you squint your eyes, you will see that those popping colors around the face. So that this will give you the idea where those colors are, mostly on the face. That's a good exercise. The second is to observe your surroundings again, yes, but this time about the perspective and color. When you go into the nature, for example, when you look at a skyline, what do you see really? The things that are closer to you, do they have more saturation in color, or do they have less saturation? The things that are behind them, are they more saturated or less saturated? Are they warmer or are they cooler in color? Try to analyze this. In black and white drawing, you will see that the more saturated gray tones will be looking forward to us, whereas the ones that are lower in chroma, lower in saturation, will look like they are more away from us. Another exercise, get a smaller light, maybe a desk light, and try to shed light on an object and try to change the direction of that light. Just maybe move it here and then try to draw that cup again, like where the light hits, how does it look, and if this part is not getting any light, how does it look, how gray it is, how dark it is, and then when you change it, how is that changing? This will help you a lot, especially in portrait drawing, because right away you will know where the light source is and in which direction light is coming from. Another exercise you can do is having in one room your pencil and your pad and your eraser, and in another room you can have some objects aligned, and what you can do is to look at those objects for maybe 30 seconds and then go into this different room and try to draw what you remember, and then you go back in there and then come again and try to finish the drawing like this with a few steps and see how you perform. In time, the more you repeat this exercise, the better you will get. And then you will realize that not only this is going to improve your artistic eye, relational proportions, but also it will help you to draw from your imagination. I actually talked about this in this video. If you haven't watched it yet, you can go and watch it after this video. I hope you found this video helpful, guys. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next week with another helpful tutorial. Bye!